Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Do you want to see something that's going to make you cry? Of course you don't. No, nobody wants to see something that, well, women, strangely enough, want to go and see things that are going to make them cry. Those sappy love stories with tragic endings. For some reason, women just love crying. But most, real people, there goes 50,000 subscribers overnight. Most real people don't want to see things that are going to make them cry. They want to see things that are going to make them laugh. They want to see things that are going to make them, well, not cry. Well, unlucky, because I'm going to show you something that's going to make you cry. This is Robertob in the mighty Tirpitz Tier 8 Premium German battleship, and in this particular match here on the Northern Lights map, he's going to have to, well, pretty much fight this entire flank by himself against multiple enemy ships. How's that going to make me cry, Jingles? Said all the battleship players. That's every game I play. Well, alright, no. That's not what's actually supposed to make you cry. Although if you're a particularly sensitive and special little sunflower, then maybe that will make you cry. But that's not the point of this particular battle. Robertob's team have the destroyer advantage here, and the first thing that he did at the start of the battle, when he realised that there were 4 capture points and his team had 4 destroyers, one more than the enemy team, was to ask those destroyers, because it doesn't hurt to ask, 1 destroyer to each capture point, please. Naturally, they're not going to do that. One of them hasn't even started moving. 2 of them are heading for A, and 1 of them's heading for C with a cruiser. So B is being capped by the enemy team. A is being capped by the enemy team. Enemy destroyer up there, you can see the smoke screen. His team have capped C, and the 2 friendly destroyers up ahead, the Mayhan and the Fubuki. The Fubuki looks like he's actually run himself aground on the island there, and he's just sitting waiting to torpedo anything that comes around the corner. The Mayhan is going in, and it looks like he's trying to flush out the enemy destroyer who's about to finish capping A. There is an enemy Farragut in there somewhere, but pay attention to those aircraft over there on the left-hand side of the screen. There's the Farragut, and the Mayhan's got him banged to rights. Lots of torpedoes in the water, and the Mayhan's going to be opening up with his guns. The cruiser that's escorting Robertob is opening up with his guns, and that Farragut is in all kinds of trouble. But look at the aircraft on the mini-map. The friendly Lexington, who's taken cover behind the island to Robertob's south, has sent his aircraft all the way around the extreme map border to the west. Didn't find an enemy carrier, so now he's sending them east all the way along the northern map border. He's going for the carrier snipe. Meanwhile, that Farragut is in all kinds of trouble. He's had his engine knocked out once already, so he's burnt his damage control ability. Now he's on fire. He can't put the flames out. Those flames are going to increase his detection radius, so it's going to be impossible for him to regain stealth. There are just too many ships shooting up. Watch where you're driving. Tirpitz in the Pensacola, swapping a bit of paintwork there. Both of them focused in on that Farragut. Not really anybody's fault, and no real harm done. So while they're disengaging and Robertob's looking for his next target, just pay attention to all those ships that have been spotted right there in the northern middle part of the map. They've all been spotted by the friendly carrier. That strike package of aircraft have located the enemy carrier, and they're about to sink him. And there he goes. So the friendly carrier has just handed a big advantage to Robertob's team. And to be fair, Robertob's team haven't been doing too badly. The enemy team haven't actually managed to capture one of these capture points yet. B and C in the middle of the map are busy changing hands. They've just managed to recapture A from the enemy Farragut after killing him. They've held D for the entire game. They've just recaptured B. And in combination with the sinking of the enemy carrier and that Farragut, that's now given them a decent points lead if they can just hold onto it. Now, however, from Robertob's perspective, it looks as if all of these enemy ships are coming steaming around that corner up ahead. They're not actually. They're all loitering around there in the middle of the map. Some of them are heading this way, some of them are heading the other way. They're all pretty much in a line due north of the B point. But they can see Robertob, and he can see them. And he's the only thing that they can see around here. The Pensacola is heading in the other direction. The Mayhan is heading in the other direction. Actually, it looks like the Pensacola's turning, but it's basically just Robertob over here, as well as the friendly Lexington-class carrier who's just recovering his strike package of aircraft, tucked away behind that island to the south. Now, it's debatable whether or not Robertob actually makes himself a target here. He steams full speed ahead north around the side of this island, and he's going to get some good shots at this. Well, this North Carolina is possibly not paying attention to Robertob. He's focusing on the ships to his south, and he's angled well against the ships to his south, but that just gives Robertob the opportunity to start scoring citadel hits on him. So the North Carolina is definitely now aware that there's a problem on his port beam, and his rear gun turrets are in the perfect position to get some shots out. All of these enemy ships, if you look at the map, they can't really see anybody else on Robertob's team other than him, now that he's steamed north and started shooting at them. So he's really inviting getting shot at here. And trust me, they're going to oblige him. But Robertob isn't stupid. I mean, he can see that he's now got the attention of all of these guys, and while he was broadside on and had the opportunity to use all of his guns when they weren't paying attention to him, now they are paying attention to him, so he starts turning the ship around, looking for who he can start harassing with his main battery guns now. Pensacola, perhaps? Nope. Pensacola's disappeared. Colorado. He's now the closest target. It's not a particularly good angle, but the Colorado is turning in order to get all of his guns to bear. Robertob takes the shot. Some decent damage. No citadel penetrations. But the Colorado definitely felt that one. Of course, Robertob's problem here is that if he keeps sailing on this course, he's going to run into the map border. And he definitely doesn't want to make a turn to port, because that's going to expose the side of his ship to all of these enemy guns. So he's going to have to turn to starboard. And that means he's going to have to swing his gun barrels around. At least, well, that would be the safe thing to do. Start kiting them back the way he came. But he's decided not to do that, and he is instead turning around to port, which is going to give them all shots at the side of his ship. However, he does recognise that this is the greatest moment of threat, and so he starts varying his speed to try and reduce the number of shots that are going to hit him, particularly from those cruisers. Now, he's taken one hit, which has set him on fire, and he doesn't immediately burn his damage control ability. You will often see this, because battleships burn a lot. Cruisers fire high explosives at battleships. Battleships spend a lot of the games that they play on fire, and a lot of battleship players will, the second they get set on fire, immediately burn that damage control consumable in order to put the fire out. Your crew are going to extinguish the fire themselves in anything between 40 to 50 seconds. Yes, you're going to take some damage, but battleships have the ability to replenish that damage. One fire is not critical. When you're burning in multiple locations, particularly when you're under fire from multiple ships, including cruisers, that's when you really want to save the damage control ability. You can see the crew have put the fire out. He still has the damage control ability ready to go if he starts burning in multiple locations from the fire from these cruisers. But we'll come back to Robertob in a moment. For now, have a look at the map and the location of the friendly carrier. He's busy pinging the map away, sending out a distress call. He's moved up to reduce the turnaround time of his strike aircraft. He wants to spend more time killing enemy ships and less time recovering his aircraft. Based on the strength of what he's done so far in this game, he does seem to be a pretty good carrier player. That was a nice little carrier snipe at the enemy Lexington at the beginning of the match, and he's also managed to sink another enemy ship, and he's playing aggressively. He wants to get his aircraft out and sink more enemy ships. And yet he's pinging the map asking for assistance. That's because he has spotted and been spotted by an enemy destroyer who's making a beeline straight for him. But the Lexington shouldn't really have had anything to worry about, because when he moved up here, he did it in the knowledge that he was being covered by a friendly Mayhan-class destroyer who would have torn that Fubuki apart in no time at all. The Mayhan, of course, completely ignoring the enemy Fubuki on the map and his team's carriers' pleas for assistance in chat. He has instead headed off to recapture the B point, which the Farragut was capping anyway. Of course, the Farragut is now not capping B because he is responding to the carriers begging for assistance. The Pensacola is also attempting to put some shots into that Fubuki before he can get around the corner and put the torpedoes in the water that are going to seal this Lexington's fate. Just the threat of the Mayhan being there would have been enough to ensure that that Fubuki would never have tried to make a run down those narrows for the carrier. And that, of course, is why the carrier came up here, because it was perfectly safe. And you can see some shots coming in there from the Farragut. He's actually had to abandon the cap in order to come over here and attempt to save the carrier, but it's too little too late, and in a massive stroke of irony, it's actually the carrier who gets the killing blow on the Fubuki with his dive bombers right before he's sent to the bottom. There's his third kill, Sadly, 100% down to that Mayhem destroyer. That is going to be the last kill that the carrier gets in this game. But back to Robertob. He's actually exchanging fire here with an Admiral Hipster. And he's not doing too badly as far as his health's concerned. He's just having problems finishing this guy off. I mean, there's fire coming in from friendly ships. The Hipper is... Oh, where did he go? There he is. No, he's gone. Where is he? Somebody spot him. There he is. Hipper's doing everything he can to ensure that Robertob doesn't sink him here. He's had enough of broadsiding. Oh, no he hasn't. Oh, you don't want to be doing that. Oh, he got away with it. Well, that's the Tirpitz's guns for you. They're not the most incredibly accurate weapons in the world. That was kind of frustrating. The Hipper gave him the perfect opportunity to sink him, but the guns just let him down. But the Hipster's days are very, very definitely numbered. One good solid hit, in fact. With that amount of health remaining, it doesn't need to be a good solid hit. Just a hit will do. Robertob fires. And come on, he's got to sink him here. There we go. That's what you get for coming around here with your orange corduroy trousers, Admiral Hipster. Now, while the carrier was getting sunk, Robertob was burning in multiple locations from various different hits from enemy cruisers, and he did use his damage control ability. It's just about to come off cooldown. You'll notice that once again, he doesn't trigger it immediately. Well, he is going to now. He's burning in 3 different locations, and you just can't soak up that amount of damage. So once he realizes he's burning in 3 different locations, he thinks, actually, yeah, that's a little bit more than I can handle. That's when he uses his damage control ability. All too often you'll see battleship players instantly put the fire out with a damage control ability the second they get hit by high explosive from a cruiser. And all that happens is that when they're under a barrage from multiple different cruisers, they immediately get set on fire again, and they just burn, because there's nothing they can do about it. So, alright, he's burning again, but it's only one fire. You can handle that in a battleship. And while he's trying to deal with this Pensacola, who's proven to be a real pain in the arse, let's just take a step back and have a look at the overall strategic situation. They've got 6 ships to the enemy's 4. They've got double the enemy's score, and they control 3 of the 4 flags. In this kind of situation, it's difficult to see how the team could possibly lose. Hang on a minute, Jingles. We've heard this before. You said at the beginning this battle was going to make us cry. Well, yes, I did, but it's still not going to end the way you think it is. In these kind of situations, all Robertob's team have to do to win is just stay alive. I mean, they have 879 points to the enemy's 452 now. Just stay alive and hold on to the flags, and you've won. Ah, alright, they've just lost a ship. Okay, so they've now lost some points, and the enemy team have gained some points. Robertob's damage control ability is about to come off cooldown. Surely he's got to kill this Pensacola. He's still only burning in 1 location. He lines up for a shot on the Pensacola, but I think he's greatly overestimated the speed that the Pensacola's doing there. Yeah, definitely. His damage repair ability is about to come off cooldown, however, so while his health is in the red zone, he can get it back up into the yellow zone very... Oh, hang on, the Colorado's paying attention to him now. The fire is out for now, but the Pensacola is still shooting at him. He's just run into the map border. He starts swinging the ship around, which is going to be dangerous because that's going to put him broadside onto this Colorado. But his team still have 3 of the capture points. They still have a 1-ship advantage over the enemy team. Scores some hits on the Colorado. He's doing his best to swing the ship around. Yeah, that could have been a lot worse. He starts recovering health with the damage repair ability. The Colorado is going to be a tough nut to crack from that angle. He starts swinging the ship around so that the Colorado cannot... Oh, the Colorado's giving him the side. This is the opportunity you're waiting for. The Pensacola sets him on fire again. I think it's more or less at this point where Robertob realises he's going to die, because you'll notice he's just switched to high explosive ammunition. That was an armour-piercing barrage. All of them missed. The Pensacola is keeping up that high explosive barrage. Why would Robertob switch to high explosive? Well, the Colorado is angled against the armour-piercing, and 1 good solid hit from the Colorado and he's down, so he just wants to get this guy set on fire, do as much damage as he possibly can before he goes under. The Pensacola just scored some really good hits. He's now burning in 3 different locations. There goes the high explosive, hits the Colorado, does some damage, sets him on fire, and he just burns to death. Now that was a very valuable, possibly game-changing kill for the enemy team, because Robertob's team were on 984 points when he was sunk. They immediately dropped down to 924 points, so that's keeping the enemy team in the game, but it's still 4 against 4, except it isn't, because this Fuso is AFK. It's actually 4 against 3, and the enemy team are starting to recapture the B point. So, in effect, they only really have 2 ships left. This Pensacola and one of the destroyers. They can still win, however. All these 2 guys have to do is stay alive. Just disengage. Don't go charging enemy battleships. This is definitely not a no-cap kill-all situation. They still have over 900 points to the enemy team's 600. Oh dear lord, what are you doing? Okay, now they have barely 900 points to the enemy's almost 700. Pensacola, just run away. That's all you have to do. You just have to run away. Don't look at the Fuso. He's AFK. You're not going to get any... Oh god, no. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Well, there's really nowhere the Pensacola can go. He's caught in a crossfire between a battleship and... Oh, look at this. No. This, ladies and gents, is how to throw away a guaranteed win. This is how to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. All they have left is an AFK Tier 6 battleship. Oh, yeah. Alright, Jingles. Game that's going to make us cry. Yeah, okay, I get it. Well, actually, no you don't. This is bad enough. I mean, what happened to the carrier was enough to make anybody cry. What's happening to the scores in this battle is enough to make anybody cry, but that's not what I'm actually talking about. Wait until you see what happens with the Fuso. He is AFK, by the way. He ain't coming back. This isn't going to be one of those battles where victory is snatched from the jaws of defeat by somebody managing to re-establish their internet connection and getting back into the game right in the last second on a mostly full health battleship and just cleaning up kills on the remaining enemy ships. No, that would be good. Alright? That wouldn't make you cry. Watch this. Here's the Fuso. And I don't know what's happened to this guy. I mean, he clearly hasn't been AFK the entire game. He's turned his gun turrets. But something's happened. He's lost his connection. I don't know. Why he's AFK is completely unimportant. The fact is, he is AFK, he is spotted, and he's taken fire from multiple enemy ships. There is some speculation going on in team chat as to exactly what's going on with this Fuso. I mean, I've been given the guy the benefit of the doubt, but one of the dead cruisers has been watching this guy the entire game since he got sunk, and is reporting that he's not AFK. The turrets keep moving, which leads them to speculate that, well, perhaps he's a bot. Well, if it is a bot, I mean, I would demand a refund, because enemy ships spotted and this bot program is not firing the guns. So, well, your guess is as good as mine. And he's taking hits. And the enemy team are now in control of 2 of the flags, and they're capping a 3rd, but they're not capping a 4th, which means Robertob's team, thanks to the early flag captures that they established, they're still gaining 3 points every couple of seconds, and they're on 994 points now, which means that this enemy team are actually going to lose to a bot. And there it is, 1,000 points. Enemy team loses. That's what no cap kill all will get you in World of Warships. But that's not what's going to make you cry. Although it probably should be. No, what's going to make you cry is the fact that that AFK Fuso, or bot, whichever, I'm not entirely sure, stood alone against 4 enemy ships and won, which means this guy walks away with the solo warrior achievement. By virtue of doing absolutely nothing. Very well done, however, to the Farragut on the team, who managed to score over 3,000 base experience despite being in a Tier 8 match in a Tier 6 destroyer. Exceptionally well played. And while I did criticise quite heavily the Mayhan for basically abandoning the carrier to his fate, because, well, he did. He must have been doing something right, because he managed to clear 2,500 base experience out of that match as well. But that Fuso, I mean... less than 300 base experience and he still comes out of it with a solo warrior award. There is no justice in the world. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys, well, I hesitate to say I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, it's not that kind of video. But I hope you at least have something to talk about in the comments. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.